Arkansas Board of Directors to order. At this time, if you are with us and you have your cell phones, if you would silence your cell phones, we'd appreciate it. If you wish to address the board tonight, we would appreciate it if you would fill out a citizens communication card located on the rail there and give that to our city clerk. It's not required, but it's beneficial for us to have that and have your information. At this time, we'll have a roll call.
Director Hart.
Here.
Director Roberts.
Here.
Director Harris.
Here.
Assistant Mayor Hollis.
Here.
Director Brewer.
Here.
Director Minor. Here. Mayor Brown.
Here. So at this time, we'll stand for our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance given by Assistant Mayor Stephen Hollis.
Bow your heads. Lord, thank you for this incredible opportunity to come together and serve the citizens of Texarkana. We pray that you would be with us, give us guidance, give us your leadership, so that we can make decisions that are in the best interest of the people. Lord, I pray that you would bless us in everything we do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. At this time, we'll move right on into our citizens communication time. And at this time, I have one request from Ms. Dinkins for an acknowledgement. Ms. Dinkins.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to just read this so I wouldn't be up here for about 2 minutes. I believe that some of the work on the Nix Creek will help our flooding in our neighborhoods. And with my understanding that more work will be done in the coming months. Now to the mayor, to the city manager, to my ward's director, to the public works director, I appreciate you all for returning my phone calls, answering all my questions about the Nix Creek, the property on the side and behind my home, and the Union Pacific Railroad property. I do appreciate you all for returning those calls. And to all the individuals, names that I called, and the entire council, the city council, I do sincerely appreciate that. And I just want to say have a blessed Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board tonight on behalf of Citizens Communication Time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move right on into presentations. We do have a presentation tonight. It's a rather brief presentation from our workshops that we've concluded. As our finance director, Ms. Henderson, comes forward, the board's been working diligently over the last 4 to 6 weeks looking at our budget process. I'll have some comments pertaining to that budget. It is on our agenda tonight to approve or not approve. And at this time, we'll turn it over to her for a presentation of our budget.
Good afternoon, Mayor Brown, Board of Directors, City Manager, Mr. Ellington. This evening, I will present to you the fiscal year end 2022 budget. First, we'll start with the citywide summaries. For year end 2022, we had proposed revenue of $54.6 million. Of that, $23 million is from general fund, $8 million is from public works, $629,000 is from CDBG, $14 million is from Texarkana water utilities, $4.5 million of that is from other funds, $1.3 million is from A&P, and then $3 million is from appropriated fund balance. Of our expenditures, general fund makes up $25 million in expenditures, public works $8 million, CDBG $619,000, Texarkana water utilities $12 million, other funds right around $7 million, and A&P fund $1.2 million, for a total of $54.6 million in expenditures. This chart shows a allocation of our citywide revenue and expenditures. I'll start with revenue. General fund makes up 45%, public works 16%, CDBG 1%, Texarkana water utilities 20%, other funds 9%, and A&P fund at 2%. As far as expenditures, general fund makes up 46%, public works 15%, CDBG 1%, Texarkana water utilities 23%, other funds 13%, and A&P makes up 2% of all expenditures. Next, we will go over the changes in the personnel. For year-end 2022, changes to authorized position. Police Department decreased their positions by 2 specialized and transport officers. Streets received 4 new equipment 1 operator positions. Refuse moved 1 equipment operator 1 to the Parks Department. Parks and Recreation, 1 new administrative assistant position, and 1 equipment operator position moved from the Refuse Department. Year-end 2022 personnel updates. All positions received a 2.5% COLA proposed for all employees. The city absorbed the cost of the Municipal Health Benefit Fund rate increase. There were updates made to the pay scale for non-civil service. We removed grades 2 and 3. These grades are obsolete and below the current Arkansas minimum wage. And we extended grades 4 through 11 to all include 20 steps. And we added grades 12 and 13 to the pay scale. For civil service, we removed the patrol officer 1 position and added the patrol officer 20-year position. Now we will move on to the general fund. For the year-end 2021 general fund budget highlights, expenditure growth expected to exceed revenue growth. Revenue growth is at 14.5%, and expenditure growth is at 18.6%. Expenditures are expected to exceed revenues by $547,000. The 2021 budget was approved with $1.6 million appropriated from the fund balance. Expenditures expected to be over budget by $1.5 million. This is due to the estimated cost of by state is $1.8 million, and the contribution was $307,000. The estimated fund balance at year end is $6.3 million, which is 94 days of expenditures. The year-end 2022 general fund major revenue sources. General property taxes make up 13% of budgeted revenue, and we're budgeting a 5% increase. Sales and other taxes account for 58% of budgeted revenue. We're budgeting a 3% increase. It's important that we remember that 1% of the city's 2.5% sales tax goes directly to the state as part of the border city exemption. Franchise receipts account for 14% of the budgeted revenue, and we're budgeting a 4% increase. The year-end 2022 general fund balance. The recommendation, and as approved in the fiscal policy, is 60 days of expenditures and unrestricted fund balance. Anything less than 60 days starts to cause a cash flow issue. For year-end 2022, we're budgeting a fund balance of $4.6 million, which is 66 days of expenditures. Now we'll go over the year-end 2022 general fund budget highlights. All departments received an increase in operating expenditures. The daily inmate rate for Miller County Jail increased from $38 to $42 per day. The by-state contribution increased by $1.1 million. Increases in contributions are as follows: $25,000 to the Ready Group, $25,000 to Main Street Texarkana, $25,000 to the Chamber of Commerce, an additional $38,000 to the airport, an additional $50,000 to the Tapers Fund. We also received increased maintenance costs, $50,000 to the Public Works Fund for seasonal overtime labor, $100,000 for right-of-way maintenance by the Public Works Department, $100,000 for housing demolition, and $85,000 for the citywide cleanup and dumpster rental. For year-end 2022 general fund capital assets and improvement projects, for the police department, we have $15,000 for speed radar units, $100,000 for police car cameras, and $250,000 for 7 patrol cars. For the fire department, we have $50,000 for a bottle fill station, $23,000 for HVAC units, $11,000 for a commercial washer, and $170,000 for bunker gear. For agencies and at the city manager's request, we have $100,000 for the public works equipment, $90,000 for a pneumatic roller, $60,000 for a water truck, $325,000 for Tennessee Road, $675,000 for Union Road, $550,000 for Meadows Road, $400,000 for the Front Street Stage, and $250,000 for City Hall renovations. Now we will move on to the Public Works Fund. For the Public Works Fund, the 2022 proposed ending fund balance is $211,000. For capital assets and equipment, we have $200,000 for street department, $20,000 for building maintenance department, $10,000 for Parks and Rec, $5,000 for park equipment, and $200,000 for drainage improvements. Are there any questions? Thank you.
What's a pneumatic roller?
Pneumatic roller, is Tyler here, does he want to address that? I know what it is, but I'd rather it come from Public Works.
He's not, but he said it will be used. for
Jay,
the
do you want to
board.
address that? What exactly is the pneumatic roller?
Mayor, it's a technical term, really, so it's kind of a vibrating roller that is used for asphalt laying down.
Does anyone else have any questions at this time? We will be voting on the budget tonight and under regular business, item number 5. Any other questions at this time?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyrone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll move into our consent agenda. We have 2 items on the consent agenda. Item number 2, approval of the minutes of the rescheduled regular meeting on December the 7th. And item number 3 is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the Arkansas Boulevard and Pinson Drive 12-inch sewer main relocation. What is the board's desire on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and the consent agenda passes. This time, we'll move into our regular agenda, which is item number 4, to adopt a resolution authorizing city manager to enter into an agreement with the Garver LLC for a comprehensive plan for the city of Texarkana, Arkansas. City manager, Jay Ellington.
Mayor and board members, this is kind of a historic time for us. So one of my discoveries, as you remember, was that we hadn't updated this plan since 1988, meaning we'd had a lot of how to do things without a total planning process that needed to be updated every 5 to 8 years in a normal municipal setting. Reached out to Garver as one of the state contracting agencies consultants that we can work with. You've got a great deal of information about the company and the principals in that company, highly regarded in the planning field. And we have Juliet Bell Ritchie here tonight with us. Juliet, come on up here. She's a certified planner, landscape architect by trade initially, and she is also a native of Texarkana. So we were glad to kind of gather her together, bring her back home to help us a little bit. And so I'm going to let her, if you look on her experience under local government on page 10 in that experience, you'll learn a little bit more about Juliet as well. I'm going to give her a chance to say a few words to you, and then we'll take any questions you have.
He left out the key point that I'm a native of Texarkana, Arkansas.
That's what I know.
Always key when you're in Texarkana. Well, I appreciate the city manager asking me to be here tonight. We did submit a proposal for the comprehensive plan update. We do comprehensive plan work all over the state and in some surrounding states. I have a team of people that will be working on the project, myself and another primary planner that is out of Little Rock, and then also some of the engineers that work in Little Rock as well. It usually takes between 12 and 18 months to go through the process, and a lot of that is because we want to make sure that we get strong public participation and we're able to reach different parts of the community. We'll have a steering committee. I know that the city manager and Ms. Beck have already kind of started looking at different people to be on that steering committee for the comprehensive plan if it moves forward. I know that we want to have diverse representation on that. And we will have a communications plan that we will put in place. I just met Eric tonight. And we'll work with the city to try to figure out what is the best way to communicate with your constituents. I know it varies from ward to ward. And so that's also part of what we'll be doing. And we'll be looking at kind of future land use, areas of land use that you may want to transition from what they are now to something that they may be trying to transition to on their own, that could be more beneficial for the city and help bring in economic investment and things like that. So we'll be looking at future land use and then also the master street plan, transportation plan as well, as far as that goes. And then also looking at some of the demographics, of course, for Texarkana and making sure that we have a plan that works for you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
After this comprehensive plan is complete, how often will we revise it? Jay, what's been the growing norm of revision? Is it something as this liquid that we will revise as we go after we do the once completed comprehensive?
Well, I would say that the comprehensive plan will be a guideline. It's like the proverb, without vision, the people perish.
Yes.
So it's going to give us a recommendation for proceeding forward in a way that makes sense with what the needs of the community are. So if we need to change something up, if we see as time goes on that a development happens that wasn't expected, then it can always, be the ordinances can be passed that would address things like that.
We will have to bring an ordinance forward to you to accept and put the plan in place after we finish it up. And we've begun the advisory group, but we've also included y'all in that group as well. So we expect, and last week, Mary and I talked to the Planning Commission, and they are all on board, and they passed a unanimous resolution as well. They know as well that this will involve a lot of time of a lot of people. And not only your time and the Planning Commission time, but folks in the community's time to come forward and interact with us as we put these steps together. So we've got a lot of contact to make over the next 12 to 18 months with the citizens. If you will, reach out to the citizens that are communicating with you on a regular basis and make sure they will know that we will have this coming up, and we will ask them to come to some public meetings, and hopefully they'll participate with us.
Jay, thus far, are you receiving some good feedback from those community stakeholders?
Yes, sir. The group that I sent out and asking for the advisory group folks to join us, everybody's stepping up, saying not a problem. I even got a reply back from our city manager on the Texarkana, Texas side, who said, David said he'd love to participate with us. They're about 3 years ahead of us with their adopting their comprehensive plan. So he went through that process, and he's going to help advise us in that process as well.
Jay, did you say the last one was in 1988?
Yes, sir.
Ooh,
It's
I
time.
was a sophomore in high school. I think it's time.
I think it's important that you do it, and, as I understand it, and as, I've studied what we would be doing, and having served on the Board of Adjustments and the Planning Commission in the past, it's pro-development. If you're not going to be proactive in changing that and future development, you're going to be stagnant. And plus, the thing that I would hope that if it's done the right way, we will take some additional burdens off of our Planning Commission and our Board of Adjustments by redoing some of our zoning to where these things will be cut and dried for our own planning department to approve and won't require such paperwork and things like that we do by just getting up to date, just as we did in the livestock ordinance and things like that. It's so far outdated. If you want to be more proactive, and you'll get your monies back, in my opinion, by investing in this particular company. We'll get our money back in the future by getting this redone and being more proactive in development. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your consideration.
Now, we'll have the city attorney read the resolution.
Whereas the Planning Commission recommends that the city enter into an agreement with Garber LLC for professional services in preparation of an updated, modern, comprehensive plan for the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, and whereas the comprehensive plan services include project kickoff, existing conditions analysis, community engagement, visioning and goals, plan development, public input, and plan finalization, and zoning code review and recommendations, and whereas Garber estimates that the cost of the project will be $115,000 and has agreed to notify the city in the event that such cost is anticipated to exceed such amount. And whereas in addition to a general right to terminate the proposed contract on 10 days' notice at any time for any reason or no reason, Garber agrees that in the event that the cost of the project is anticipated to exceed the estimated amount, notify the city of the same and allow for the city to terminate the contract. And whereas it is necessary and in the best interest of the city that the city's overall comprehensive plan be updated in order to better accomplish for modern growth in all aspects of the city's areas for the betterment of the community at large, and whereas the funds are appropriated and available, and whereas the city manager and staff recommend approval. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the city manager is authorized to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city with Garber LLC for the professional services and other purposes upon the terms and conditions and in the initial amount of $115,000, all is specifically described above. Further, an appropriation in the amount of $115,000 is approved, and the FY 2021 budget is amended for such appropriation and expense.
So you've heard the resolution. What would be the desire of the board?
Move for adoption.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Yes,
Brown.
the resolution passes. So we're moving right along to item number 5 of our regular agenda, which is to adopt a resolution approving the fiscal year 2022 budget. Ms. Henderson. Before you get started, do we
Yes, sir.
need to make them aware or just make a statement that the IAC budget has been approved
Yes,
prior to?
the IAC budget has been approved. It is not included in this budget, but it will be on the January 4th agenda for approval by this board.
And this basically, the approval was basically about the same as the previous year's budget, with an exception of a couple $100,000 was approved in there for renovations for maintenance type work, and there's an additional security employee, or maintenance employee that was approved by all 3 entities, and it passed unanimously.
Yes, sir. And so I will bring all those items for approval by this board on January the 4th. I have submitted an agenda item for that already.
Okay.
Yes, sir. State law requires adoption of an annual budget. The general fund, public works, and other fund summaries are provided. This resolution proposes adoption of the 2022 budget and amendments of the 2021 budget to reflect year-end adjustments for the 2021 audit. on November 18, 2021, and December 7, 2021. The Board of Directors, City Manager, and staff held workshop sessions regarding the 2022 annual operating budget. The City Manager and staff held meetings with department heads in regard to their 2022 budget. The Advertising and Promotion Fund budget was adopted on October 20th, 2021 by the A&P Commission and is included. The Bi-State Justice Fund budget was approved after the budget was submitted to the board by the AAC and therefore is not included in the city's attached budget. Please refer to the final budget and attached summary of operating revenues and expenditures. Are there any questions?
Does anyone have any questions of Ms. Henderson? I would like to make just one additional comment, and one is that, I think this is a very proactive budget. I think this is something that the Board of Directors, each and every one of you, have worked on and have had input in. I spoke to leadership Texarkana this past last week, and when you really look at things in perspective as to where the city has come from in the last couple of years is really phenomenal with what we've been able to do with our excess revenues. And when you look at our, to put it in perspective, when I look at our AARP funding and when I look at the additional capital that we've been able to use out of our fund balance, we've put over $15 million in capital improvements in the city in these next two cycles, that last year's cycle, this year's cycle. As we all know, our projects that we have approved in 2021 have not been completed. They'll roll over into 21, and some of these projects, probably half of these projects, I would probably just guess to say, won't get done in 2022, but they will roll over into 2023. And when you look at the perspective of spending almost $15 million, and we've only borrowed $3 million, that's a phenomenal, a little over $3 million. That's a phenomenal thing to say for this city, to have us in a debt position that we're in, but we're also, in my opinion, in simple terms, we're fixing a bunch of stuff. And so I commend the board. I hope the budget does pass here in a minute, but I commend the board on your work, and we need to keep with those same focus of making sure, one, we're being good stewards of this money. As I indicated in that budget workshop, we do need to be looking and addressing our fiscal policy in the future. I'm not so sure in the future that 60 days in our fund balance is going to be enough to take care of what we're actually adding and the infrastructure changes and things that we're making, and that we need to be proactive in looking at that so that we don't get in a situation where the city has been in years past, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so I just want to say that I appreciate that. I'm very pleased with the budget. I know we won't get all that done this year, but it certainly makes a little work on us because we can reappropriate that money in the next year, but it is set aside, and we are working on it, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Director Harris.
Yes, I guess I got to make some comments. I'm aware that I asked about 28 questions, and based on the response I got, they were shared with y'all. And then later on, I asked about 10 more questions, and they were shared with y'all also in the email. So I'm not going to really go over those that much. But I'm going to take a little bit different approach as to based on how the employees receive salaries and the benefit the employees receive in this budget process. I would give, from employee concept, I would give an A on that. From economic development, there's really no matching. I'm gonna give a C- from the economic development process because there's really no matching fund as to if some big company come here, like the new grocery store coming in on Texas side at the new old Sears building, we really doesn't have money to give out and for us to match a company that's coming here. I'm aware that you gave money to Red X and the chambers, but whether that considered economic development, that's whether here or there. And infrastructure based on what's in the streets that's being done and the sewage projects and all that, I would probably give a B plus at that. But the main reason why I'm put up here on this board for Ward C and how basically how Ward 2 is benefiting out of this budget, I'd probably get a C minus to a D. And the reason why is that, because other than the CBG funds, I really don't see how the people in the city and the streets and the road in Ward 2 is being done. I know from the last 3 budget process, I don't know if y'all got the email too that I asked the city manager. I don't know if he shared y'all as to what major streets was done, you know, and if I can remember some of them, mostly like Samson Lane and some other streets. And like I said, as far as I know of, I had never voted no for a street that came up here, as far as I can know. And when Tennessee Road come, I'm quite sure I ain't gonna vote against that. And when Miller Road come, I'm not gonna vote against those 2 streets that come forward, even though they're gonna be a separate process, because you're gonna have to, it's gonna be over $20,000, so you're gonna have to do that anyway. But like I said, I know during the one board meeting, I did bring out about Pinehurst and Dudley Street and 12th Street there. And then another big issue is over there on Ash Street. This guy over there at 811 Ash Street, his property been flooding for the longest, and also on the 10,100 Beach Street, and also over there on Kesso Street. Those properties there have been flooding. Now, do the city aware of that? Yes, I've talked many times to the city public works director about that. Matter of fact, I showed them firsthand on that. Then my other concern is about public works. Now, public works is the lack of employee at public works is a big thing, because public work is a big thing, because I noticed that even though based on this budget, you only got 9 workers from the we call it the prison working, but public works, I would say, really need to be increased, because my ward have the more impact of public works because the lack of public works, because what type of work public works is doing, you know. I just asked 3 years ago about over there, COVID over there, and it just not got done over there on the corner of over the corner of 9th Street and Laurel Street. Now, it shouldn't take no 3 years for COVID to get done. And then I'd asked for a sidewalk from Grove Street all the way up to Dudley Street. And then based on that, you know, and that'd been about 3 or 4 years. And they just did a little section there. And the people thought that it was going to get completed, and then said that when they have time, they're going to do it, because, like I said, my ward is really being less affected by this budget than any ward I can see, and that's why I'm voting the way I'm voting. It's not, like I say, overall, it may be a good budget to a certain extent, but each time I come up here, I'm coming up here for one focus, one thing, and I know sometimes you got to give a little to get, but I don't see, like me, I've been giving from this budget process the last 3 years, I just don't see nothing being done to benefit the people who put me up here. And that's, if you ain't up here or argue for your ward and try to get what you can get for your ward, then my thing is, what's the point? Then, like I said, we need a street sweeper. Now, the city just not cleaned out Dudley Street. That request was made last December, if I'm not, last January, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was made last December this year, January. Now, they just not getting to the point of cleaning the sidewalk because it's holding up rain, and I also had put in some more areas that need some cover on the side there, and those has not been addressed. Covered. I know I even put one request right there on the corner of 9th Street and 9th Street and County Street, and also on the corner of Dudley Street and Pinehurst Street, no, Jerome Street, cause when it crossed the railroad track, it turned to another thing. But like I said, I'm not gonna go through all this right here because, and even though, like I said, the employees, like I said, they getting the 8 miles. I'm not gonna go through, and I don't want to take nothing away from what the employees get, but the reason why I ask these questions here, just for to let the new board member just to see what kind of fundings and what other thing is that. So I'm not gonna, that's not the issue here. So I just ask these questions so the new board member can kind of get to see how the employees will benefit. And like I said, you can't, with the car allowance and the 19 cars being driven home, I see, that's, but that, to me, that's not a big issue. And yes, and we do need to have with tuition pay for employees, cause my first time going up in financial for a while, and I see the new young people up in the financial office. So if we're gonna do tuition thing, I can see how that can benefit the new employees up there. They was kind of young and legit. If they go and maybe get a degree, or I don't know if they don't have a degree, but I'm assuming that's maybe for the help the tuition, because I ain't gonna knock education. No, nobody shouldn't sit up there and knock it. I think that probably need to be increased. If we don't have a policy, we need to have a policy, and that needs to be increased. But other than that, that's what I see with this budget wrong. And like I said, I know that everybody's not gonna get what they want, and I do know. Oh yes, in November the 18th, I was out of town, and I was out of town, and I did notice that we didn't get a notice of that second portion of that workshop. I got a notice about for breakfast, but I didn't get a notice about for a workshop. So if someone gonna come and say, hey, was you there at that process and this and that? But you can see what I've going with these questions I've been asking. So that's basically what all I probably got to say on this. So
Director Harris, I'd just like to make a couple of comments. One, I would like to address the Arkansas economic development. First and foremost, we have opened the doors for certainly big-time match funding from the state of Arkansas. The state of Arkansas has an economic development commission fund, and we are aware of that. And the city of Texarkana, Texas has different mechanisms in place, different taxes in place that raise economic development funds from them that put us a little bit behind the 8 ball as far as not having that particular amount of funding. That I'm assuming you're alluding to the articles in the paper about their matching funding they gave for the store. We do have matching fundings available. You now have, right here in Texarkana and in Miller County, you have the largest piece of industrial development property that the state of Arkansas has. And that will secure us some matching funding to help with businesses. So certainly, we as a city will lean on the state to help us with any type of matching incentive program. And if you don't live under a rock and you know about economic development, then we all know, as you've just pointed out, it will take matching funding. These people will want something in return, and it won't just be that piece of property. So we all need to be thinking about that going forward. When I look at this, when I look at the budget and I look amongst and how municipal government is set up and how it works, municipal government, the best way that I describe it is a balance amongst those, and that's why we have different wards. Certainly, we're never going to be able to fund everything that's going to happen in your ward, as you just pointed out, or any of these other wards up here, as far as fixing streets and drainage and all that. It's a balance about priorities on where that money is spent based on information that we receive. When I see this budget right here, I'm not going to vote no on this budget because I see a proactive budget, one, that for your residents, for the residents of the city and all these other wards, is a very proactive residence in improving our police department. They have a police department that takes care of them. It's improving the fire department. We're improving infrastructure in our public works department so that we can take care of some of those issues with upgrades and equipment. We do have included in this budget additional 4 employees to the public works department to start another crew. We don't have it yet. The budget's not been adopted and approved. And we don't have, probably, if we're like every other business around town here, we don't have the employees lined up to take those jobs. But we are going to get proactive in if this budget passes, we'll get more proactive in adding an additional crew. And so there's also additional funding in this budget for house demolition that I know has been on your agenda for quite some time, and it needs to be done, and we're trying to take a more active approach, a proactive approach in taking care of that. So I see a lot of things that are being done in this budget citywide, and it's not everything that I want, it's not going to be everything that anybody else wants, but it is a balanced approach, and it's a balanced approach that keeps the city's finances, in my opinion, in order, so that we don't get into a shape to where we can't address any concerns in any of these wars. So it is a more proactive approach in improving our department so that we can take care of that. Any other comments?
I would like to make a comment. Now, Director Harris, your memory is so much better than mine, I'm sure, but I can remember receiving expenditures for every ward, and your ward and my ward were leading the list with the amount of money that had been spent. I mean, it was, in hundreds of thousands of dollars for each one. And maybe it has decreased in your ward lately, I don't know, in the last couple of times, budgets, but your ward receives, as a matter of fact, I think you were number one on that list. Yeah, seems like it was about $350,000, or surely it was more than that, but anyway. Tyrone, I don't know if you develop things like that, or someone did that for us.
The Public Works Department did that, and it was for streets infrastructure, I'm sorry. And I can most definitely get with them and get with Mr. Ellington and follow up and have them.
Well, I hate for him to feel that his ward is being neglected, and I'm serious.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want my ward, I don't want anybody's ward, and we don't spend money just to spend money and get equal, we spend money where we need things, which our whole city we need. But I still hate that you feel like your ward is being left out as far as expenditures. But I don't think it is.
Is there any other comments? Hearing none, we'll have the city attorney read the resolution.
Whereas the fiscal year of the city of Texarkana, Arkansas is January 1 to December 31, and whereas the law of the state of Arkansas requires adoption of an annual budget, and whereas the FY 2022 budget has been reviewed by the Board of Directors in workshop sessions which were open to the public. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that Section 1, the FY 2022 budget attached hereto and made a part hereof, along with the amendments to the FY 2021 budget to reflect year-end adjustments for the 21 audit, is hereby adopted. Said budget should be kept on file in the office of the city clerk. Section 2, the respective amounts of money is allocated to each of the funds in the FY 2022 budget, including the FY 2021 revised amounts, are hereby allowed and appropriated. Section 3, unless otherwise specifically required by separate ordinance or applicable law, the city manager is authorized to select and hire individuals to fill all budgeted positions now or hereafter coming vacant contained in the FY 2022 budget, passed and approved this 20th day of December 2021.
So the city attorney's read the resolution that pertains to the budget. Is there any other discussion? What would be the desire of the board to pass this resolution?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
No.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, and the resolution passes. Moving right along to item number 6, to adopt an ordinance to amend and provide for certain new and amended fee for certain services and public facility use. Ms. Henderson.
The purpose of this agenda item is to amend ordinance 16-2017 to make the changes to the park facility fees and add new fees. The new fees for the Texarkana Rec Center are expected to generate approximately $111,000 the first year. $111,000 the first year. This agenda item will also amend Ordinance 36-2017 for residential solid waste fees as presented in the Solid Waste Committee workshop held on November 4th, 2021. This agenda item will also amend Ordinance K 457 for commercial solid waste fees. The fee for a 1-yard commercial container will be removed from the fee schedule. Are there any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Henderson?
I got, I'm trying to find it,
Yes,
but
sir.
if I'm mistaken, is it charging $500 and $300 for use of the rec center? I saw that somewhere.
Yes, sir. So for the rec center, the gym rental is for 16 hours, and that is $300. The fee plus a collateral for 16 hours plus $15 hourly for staff. The gym rental with kitchen is $500 plus the collateral plus $15 hourly rate for staff.
And the reason why I got a question about that based on that amount, you're kind of making it, and based on the amount of money, where the money came from to fix that up, from my understanding, you're using CBG money, and that's based on money in low to moderate income area. But yet, you got the fee so sky high that the average person can't even go afford to utilize the thing, and based on how and based on the money where it came from, you know.
Well,
That's what I see.
the thing is, one, the funds didn't come from, the actual money to renovate it didn't come from block grant funding. The money to finance it came from a low interest rate loan that we were paying back with CDBG funds. So we only got the $60,000, somewhere around in that area that's coming out of our funds to repay that low-cost loan, because that low-cost loan was available for that particular purpose at that time. I think it's 2 or 2.5%. That's what we got that loan for. So we're only using $60,000 a year to do that. The way that I understand it and that I look at it, one is when we do community events and do things and we're using the rec center for, there will not be a charge to run our programs and stuff that the city's actually running. That would be for individuals that wants to rent that facility and use it. And in my opinion, if you go try to find a place right now and try to rent a convention center or try to rent something like that out that's available for now, I think you'll find that that's going to be more in line. Convention center is much more expensive than that, but if you want to have events over there, family reunions or something like that, that would be the rental for that purpose. It's based on the number of hours that you have it and what facilities that you want to rent. And I think that's only common, in my opinion, from having had events and charging things all these years that I've been in Texarkana. That's, it's $1,000 to rent the Elks Lodge. So it's expensive when you come, depending on what those are. So I don't think that they're totally out of line, but it's not going to hinder in what the use, in my opinion, of what our city use of that facility is going to be. There's not going to be any charge for us to run our programs and do things. That's only for outside rental.
And that gym rental includes tournaments, banquets, and those things also have fees associated with them as well. And so a lot of times there will be some offset to the people that are renting it out for some of those costs.
Tyrone, will there be, where you can buy like yearly memberships if you wanted to?
That was not submitted to us when they talked about, there were more things for like membership fees for families for leagues, things of that nature, but not where you can just buy a year's rental to use the facility. It looks like it's per use.
Yeah, another thing came, I noticed too that it says something about $7.50 an hour for dropping out children. Did I see that right?
For
Drop
Yes.
off.
Yes, sir. So they're going to run it very similar to a community center out there. And so that is one of the rates that they were charging for that is that drop-in rate for, at the rec center for its use. And that's part of the operations of the rec center, which those are things that they're still building the programs. So what they're trying to do is make sure that when they get ready to have those operations approved, they already have the fee schedule in place for those things.
And my last comment on that somebody was talking to me yesterday about this, and they were saying that it's boys and girls, you know, and in their concept, it's a boys and girls thing. And I told them, from my seat, it's not gonna be utilized as a boys and girls concept. So, I told them, your best bet is probably go up there in old Washington, middle school, building. That's probably your best bet, but, because I was asked about was it being utilized as a Boys and Girls Club and the Boys and Girls concept, so that's basically it won't be.
I look at it more from the standpoint of what it is. It's a recreational center that can be used by senior citizens and after-school programs. And just so you'll know, there has been some dialogue with the people that have the option and are renovating the Washington schools to do interaction with those programs that Donnie and them are running over there, so that they will not duplicate what we're trying to do in the rec center. And there will be some more information on that in the future, but he is working with the city in that respect, so that we're going to have two properties, in my opinion, that are going to give us a big boost in this area to help our youth and juveniles, and also have a place for seniors. But we are having dialogue with both of those entities so that we can work together. Is there any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So remind the board, this is an ordinance. To pass tonight, it would need to be read 3 times. What would be the desire of the board to have the ordinance read on its first reading?
First reading abbreviated form.
Second.
Let's have a first and a second to have the ordinance read on its first reading in abbreviated form. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Present.
Hollabash,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Mayor, I've got a clarification to ask about the present vote. Is that a no for the abbreviated form as well?
You asking me?
Yes, sir. Is it your desire to hear it in
I
entirety?
said present. So I'm not voting for it, not voting against it.
So it's not a yes vote, is that
It's not a
correct?
yes and it's not a no. It's voting present.
An ordinance to amend and provide for certain new and amended fees for certain services in public facility use for declaring an emergency and for other purposes, whereas it is necessary to amend and adopt certain fees payable to the city of Texarkana, Arkansas for certain services provided and use of certain public facilities offered by the city, and whereas the city manager and staff recommend approval. Now therefore, be it ordained by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Code of Ordinances, is amended as follows. Section 1, the fee for monthly residential solid waste removal service as set forth in Section 22-5 of the code is amended to be $22.92 per month. Section 2, the fees for commercial solid waste collection is set forth in Section 22-26 as relate to a 1-yard container are deleted as 1-yard containers are not offered. Section 3, in accordance with Section 17-4 of the code, the following fees are adopted for the use of the following facilities and shall supersede any previously adopted fee, if applicable, for each of the following: park facility fees, the Irma Dansby Pondexter Park Sports Complex Pavilion, $25 for 1 to 4 hours, $15 for 6 hours. Ball fields and complex rental, $100 per field per day. Ball fields practice only, $15 for 1.5 hours, $25 for 3 to 4 hours. This supersedes previously adopted like fees referencing and related to the Hobo Jungle Fields indoor pavilions as applicable. Texarkana Rec Center ball fields complex rental, $100 per day. Ball fields practice only, $15 for 1.5 hours, $25 for 3 to 4 hours. Multipurpose fields practice only, $20 for 1.5 hours. Multipurpose field, $150 all day. Baseball field concession stand, $150, $75 fee plus collateral fee for 1 day. Gym rental, tournaments, banquets, reunions, etc., $300, $215 being the fee for collateral fee plus collateral fee for 16 hours plus $15 hourly rate for staff. Gym rental with kitchen, warming and serving area only, $50, $20, $15 being the fee plus collateral fee for 16 hours plus $15 annual rate for staff. Gym rental setup, banquets, reunions, etc., $150 being the setup fee. Gym rental, tournaments, banquets, reunions, etc., $20 per hour. Anything over 4 hours requires $200 deposit. Gym rental setup, banquets, reunions, etc., $40 per hour. Anything over 4 hours requires $200 deposit. Meeting room, $25 per hour, includes setup. Drop-in rate, one child, 5 years and older, $750 per hour. Each additional sibling, $4 per hour for each additional sibling. Membership, is that $30 annual registration? Annual,
Yes.
okay.
Family registration.
$30 annual family registration. Family life savings plans, pre-day discount plans includes access to facility, one league, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $110, $100, $10 discount per child. Two leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $230, $215 discount per child. Three leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $360, $300, $20, 20% discount per child. Reduced fees for low to moderate clientele. Drop-in rate, one child, 5 years and older, $3.75 an hour. Each additional sibling, $2 per hour, each additional sibling. Membership, $15 annual family registration. Family savings plan, sports leagues, pre-day discount plans, includes access to facilities, must live in Texarkana, Arkansas, 51% low to moderate area with proof of income and address. One league, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $110, $38.50, $65 discount per child, 65% discount per child. Two leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $230, $69, 70% discount per child. Three leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $360, $90, 75% discount per child. Section 4, except as specifically amended or adopted herein, all other fees heretofore adopted and approved by the Board of Directors or in accordance with applicable law remain unmodified to the extent any portion of this ordinance is determined to be contrary to the applicable law or otherwise unenforceable. Such findings shall not affect any other provisions hereof, and the same will remain in full force and effect from and after the effective date of this ordinance. Section 3. Section 5. This action being necessary for preservation of the public peace, health, and safety, including without limitation the need to implement the revised and adopted fees described herein to coincide with the beginning of the FY 2022 budget on January 1, 2022, and a separate and distinct vote having been taken on this emergency clause. An emergency clause is therefore declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval, provided, however, the fees contemplated by sections 1 and 3 of this ordinance shall not be charged until on or after January 1, 2022. Pass and approve this 20th day of December. A couple of notes. One is obviously the emergency clause requires a separate vote. And 2, in section 1, I need to double check a reference there. That may be a reference to 22-25 rather than 22-5.
So the ordinance has been read on its first reading, and I would just like go ahead.
May I ask you a question? Why is you reading the whole ordinance? Was it actually read in abbreviated form?
The way the rules read, if the board has unanimously consent,
Oh,
To
so
sus-
maybe since
abbreviate.
I'm not voting for or against it, that's not considered,
that's
That's
not,
not
that's not a
considered-
yes vote.
huh?
It's not a yes vote, and that's what I need to be able to do the abbreviated.
Oh, well, I don't know if you, well, I'm not trying to make you read the whole thing. I just don't have nothing to do with the rec center, and that's based on past action towards me, so.
Sure. My concern is for the protection of the city to make this as defensive as possible, or
Okay,
defensible as possible.
So I wasn't trying to make you read.
No, I understand.
Read the whole ordinance. I just know that would cause you to read the whole ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the only way that we can read it in abbreviated form, if it's going to pass tonight, is he would have to vote yes and then vote not to adopt, or vote present not to adopt. It's going to pass anyway.
That's correct, Mayor. Now, you could do that twice if we want to get down in the weeds, and because this is fees, that's why I'm kind of being nitpicky about it. Obviously, you could have a motion to put it on a second reading and suspend the rules, and then have a second one to do the abbreviated fashion. But, the real vote comes at the end, so if there's a no vote or a present vote on that one, then that
Won't
would
matter.
be it. That's exactly right.
Okay,
You could speed along the reading, so to speak,
okay.
without the
So Director Harris, would you be prepared to vote yes to have it read in abbreviated form until we get to adopt? Or you want to vote present?
I'm still gonna vote present, and I'll state the reason why I'm voting present, based on, cause of the rec center, and based on past action,
I mean,
because of the rec center. But I'm not trying to make him,
the way that I understand it and the way that I look at it, a vote for president is basically a no. You're not voting for it. And it's your vote is not going to have a bearing on whether it passes or not. It looks like we have unanimous consent to pass it. Other than that, if we have a motion to have the ordinance read on its second reading tonight, we're going to read it in its full version all three times.
I'm not trying to make you do that. That's the point I'm trying to say.
Well, if we have a clarification to understand that's the only way we can get by it, you would have to vote yes to have it read in abbreviated form and then vote present on the adoption. Whether it gets read or not, it's going to get read three times in the next 6 weeks. So it's whether we read it all tonight or that, it's up to you. The ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the motion, the desire of the board to have it read on its second reading tonight?
I make a motion that we have second reading, suspend the rules in an abbreviated form, please.
Is there a second? So we have a motion and a second to have the ordinance read on its second reading in abbreviated form. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Present.
Hollibush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown.
I have no idea, but yes.
Mayor, obviously, you could break that into two pieces once again, but just for, I'm going to read this if it's no problem. You can suspend the rules in one vote. And then that allows for not all.
So now we can read it in abbreviated form since we've already read it once in its entirety?
And
Is that what
then
you're
have a
saying?
second vote to do it in abbreviated fashion, to which all of you could vote yes, and then we would be clean on the rules.
Okay. So can we,
I'm not going to object to that being done right now. That's for my personal.
so you understand what the city attorney is basically saying? We'll have one motion to have the ordinance read on its second reading
To suspend the rules.
and to suspend the rules, and then we'll have a motion to read it in abbreviated form.
Correct.
Motion for what George said.
Okay, is there a second? There's already, we'll say that the first motion that we just passed is a motion to have it read on its second reading. Now we will entertain a motion to have it read in its abbreviated, to suspend the rules and have it read in its abbreviated form.
Motion to suspend the rules, abbreviated form.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and have it read in its abbreviated form.
This one is for the abbreviated form.
This is for the abbreviated form only.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Present.
Hollibush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance to amend and provide for certain new and amended fees for certain services and public facility use for declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Whereas it is necessary to amend and adopt certain fees payable to the city of Texarkana, Arkansas for certain services provided and use of certain public facilities offered by the city, and whereas the city manager and staff recommend approval, now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Directors of the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the city of Texarkana Code of Ordinances is amended as follows. Section 1, the fee for monthly residential waste removal services set forth in Section 22-5 or 25, depending upon what it is of the code, is amended to be $22.92 per month. Section 2, the fees for commercial solid waste collection is set forth in Section 22.62 as relate to a 1-yard container deleted as 1-yard containers are not offered. Section 3, in accordance with Section 17-4 of the code, the following fees are adopted for the use of the following facilities and shall supersede any previously adopted fee if applicable for each of the following park facilities fees. Irma Dansby Poindexter Park Complex Pavilion, $25, 1 to 4 hours, $50 for 16 hours. Ball fields complex rental, $100 per field per day. Ball fields practice only, $15 for 1.5 hours. 1.5 hours, $25 for 3 to 4 hours. It supersedes any previously adopted like fees referencing and relating to the hobo jungle, fields, indoor pavilions as applicable. Texarkana Rec Center, ball fields complex rental, $100 per field per day. Ball fields, practice fields only, $15 for 1.5 hours. $25 for 3 to 4 hours. Multipurpose fields, practice only, $20 for 1.5 hours. Multipurpose field, $150 all day. Ball field concession stand, $150, $75 plus collateral fee for 1 day. Gym rental, tournaments, banquets, reunions, etc., $300, $200, $15. Being the fee plus collateral fee for 16 hours plus a $15 annual rate for staff. Gym rental with kitchen, warming and serving area only, $500, $215, being the fee plus collateral fee for 16 hours plus $15 annual rate for staff. Gym rental, setup, banquets, reunions, etc., $150 being the setup fee. Gym rental, tournaments, banquets, reunions, etc., $20 per hour. Anything over 4 hours requires $200 deposit. Gym rental setup, banquets, reunions, etc., $40 per hour. Anything over 4 hours requires $200 deposit. Meeting room, $25 per hour, includes setup, drop-in rate. One child, 5 years and older, $7.50 per hour. Each additional sibling, $4 per hour for each additional sibling. Membership, $30 annual family registration, family savings plan, sports leagues, prepaid discount plans include access to the facility, 1 league, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $110, $100, 10% discount per child. 2 leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $230, $200, 15% discount per child. 3 leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $360, $300, 20% discount per child. Reduced fees for low to moderate clientele, drop-in rate. 1 child, 5 years and over, $3.75 per hour. Each additional sibling, $2 per hour for each additional sibling. Membership, $15 annual family registration. Family savings plan, sports leagues, prepaid discount plans includes access to the facility, must live in Texarkana, Arkansas with 51% low to moderate area with proof of income and address. 1 league, softball, basketball, and soccer, etc., $110, $38.50, 65% discount per child. 2 leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $230, $69, 70% discount per child. 3 leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $360, $90, 75% discount per child. Section 4, except as specifically amended or adopted herein, all other fees heretofore adopted and approved by the Board of Directors or in accordance with applicable law remain modified to the extent that any portion of this ordinance is determined to be contrary to applicable law or otherwise unenforceable. Such findings shall not affect any other provisions hereof, and the same will remain in full force and effect from and after the effective date of the ordinance. Section 5, this action being necessary for preservation of the public peace, health, and safety, including without limitation the need to implement the revised and adopted fees described herein to coincide with the beginning of the FY 2022 budget on January 1, 2022, and a separate and distinct vote having been taken on this emergency clause. An emergency is therefore declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval, provided, however, the fees contemplated by sections 1 and 3 of this ordinance shall not be charged until on or after January 1, 2022, passed and approved this 20th day of December 2021.
The ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its third and final reading tonight?
Third and final reading, abbreviated form, please.
Suspend the rules.
That's not gonna work.
That's what he said.
I'm not
That didn't help us
gonna
this time,
vote to
right?
have it read its third.
It
It'll have to
doesn't
be
matter.
read in
Let's
its
just get
entirety.
through it.
It'll have to be read in its entirety.
Yeah, let's just
Okay.
read it in its entirety, and I'll remember this.
So you're just voting to suspend the rules is what you have to do.
I don't even know where we're at.
Yes.
So
all
what
right.
would
We'll
be, do we
it.
have a motion and a second to have the ordinance read on its third reading in its non-abbreviated form?
To suspend the rules.
Just the third reading is all you need.
Just third reading.
Yeah.
Motion for third reading.
Second.
Any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Present.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance to amend and provide for certain new and amended fees for certain services and public facility use for declaring an emergency and other purposes. It is necessary to amend and adopt certain fees payable to the city of Texarkana, Arkansas for certain services provided and the use of certain public facilities offered by the city, and whereas the city manager and staff recommend approval, now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Directors of the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Code of Ordinances is amended as follows. Section 1, the fee for monthly residential solid waste removal service is set forth in Section 22-25 of the code is amended to be $22.92 per month. Section 2, the fees for commercial solid waste collection is set forth in Section 22-26. 2 as relates to a 1-yard container are deleted as 1-yard containers are not offered. Section 3, in accordance with Section 17-4 of the code, the following fees are adopted for the use of the following facilities and shall supersede any previously adopted fee if applicable for each of the following park facility fees. Irma, Dansby, Pondexter Sports Complex Pavilion, $25, 1 to 4 to 1 hours, 1 to 4 hours. $50 for 16 hours. Ball fields complex rental, $100 per field per day. Ball fields practice only, $15 for 1 and 1.5 hours, $25 for 3 to 4 hours. This supersedes previously adopted like fees referencing and relating to the hobo, jungle, ball fields, and/or pavilions as applicable. Texarkana Rec Center, ball field complex rental, $100 per field per day. Ball fields practice only, $15 for 1 and 1/2 hours, $25 for 3 to 4 hours. Multipurpose fields practice only, $20 for 1 and 1/2 hours. Multipurpose field, $150 all day. Baseball field concession stand, $150, $75 fee plus collateral fee per day. Gym rental tournaments, banquets, reunions, etc., $300, $200, $15 being the fee plus collateral fee for 16 hours plus $15 annual hourly rate for staff. Gym rental with kitchen, warming and service area only, $215 being the fee plus collateral fee for 16 hours plus $15 hourly rate for staff. Gym rental setup, banquets, reunions, etc., $150 being the setup fee. Gym rental tournaments, banquets, reunions, etc., $20 per hour. Anything over 24 hours requires a $200 deposit. Gym rental setup, banquets, reunions, etc., $40 per hour. Anything over 4 hours requires $200 deposit. Meeting room, $25 per hour, includes setup, drop-in rate. One child, 5 years and older, $7.50 per hour. Each additional sibling, $4 per hour for each additional sibling. Membership, $30. Annual family registration, annual savings, family savings plan, sports leagues. That's the family savings plan, sports leagues. Prepaid discount plans include access to facilities. One league, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $110, $100, 10% discount per child. Two leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $230, 15% discount per child. Three leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $360, $300, 25% discount per child. Reduced fees for low to moderate clientele. The drop-in rate, one child, 5 years and older, $3.75. Each additional sibling, $2 per hour. Each additional sibling. Membership, $15. Annual family registration. Family savings plans, sports leagues, prepaid discount plans, include access to facility, must live in Texarkana, Arkansas, 51% low to moderate area with proof of income and address. One league, softball, basketball, soccer, etc. $110, $38.50, 65% discount per child. Two leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc. $230, $69, 70% discount per child. Three leagues, softball, basketball, soccer, etc., $360, $90, 75% discount per child. Section 4, except as specifically amended and adopted herein, all fees heretofore adopted and approved by the Board of Directors are in accordance with applicable law remain unmodified. To the extent any portion of this ordinance is determined to be contrary to applicable law or otherwise unenforceable, such findings shall not affect any other provisions hereof, and the same shall remain in full force and effect from and after the effective date of this ordinance. Section 5, this action being necessary for preservation of the public peace, health, and safety, including without limitation the need to implement the revised and adopted fees described herein to coincide with the beginning of the FY 2022 budget on January 1, 2022, in a separate and distinct vote having been taken on this emergency clause. An emergency is therefore declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval, provided, however, the fees contemplated by sections 1 and 3 of this ordinance shall not be charged until on and after January 1, 2022, passed and approved this 20th day of December 2021. Now I'm finished.
The ordinance has been read on its third reading. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So the motion is second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt, is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this ordinance? Hearing none, could you call the roll, please?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Present.
Hollibush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, and the ordinance passes. The staff has asked for an emergency clause to be attached to this ordinance. What would be the desire of the board to attach an emergency clause?
Motion to attach emergency clause.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to attach emergency clause. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Present.
Hollibush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, an emergency clause is attached.
there's not any other business to come before the board on the agenda. At this time, we'll move into hopefully a very brief city manager report.
I'll do my best, Mayor.
Pressure, pressure.
First,
Take your time, Jay.
happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all of you and to our citizens of our community. I want to thank you for a good 2021, and thank you for welcoming me into your team and your city. Thank you also for the 22 budget. I think we will achieve a number of things in our community and for our citizens that we need to. Looking forward to 22 and servicing our citizens and guiding our investment in our city. I have asked that we have a special board meeting in relationship to Miller County's request for us to have that at 4 o'clock on the 4th. And that is to deal with the items of the jail and the request for additional funding. County folks will be present here with us, and we'll have their presentation and then enter that discussion with them. I think you've seen the work on Jefferson. It's partially done at this point in time. Nix Creek is about 50% finished at this point in time. Most of our work on Nix Creek still has to do with the bank stabilization up and down the creek work. And the interstate light work's going to begin in January. We're ordering lights, et cetera, now. I look forward to the beginning and the update of the comprehensive plan. You know, planning is a basis for all services, and everything we do every day is just trying to make sure we know the direction in which we're going. I think this will assist us in a number of ways. I will continue in 22 with my weekly reports for you. At some point in time, I'll probably wean off of those and get to a more monthly system for you. But again, I think those have been very beneficial for you. Let you all get to know me a little bit more and what I'm working on day to day. So I think that's been beneficial for us. We had great events this weekend at both the rec center and at the animal control facility, and our improvements there will continue until we get sometime in the spring. We'll have some grand openings at both of those. Again, thank you for the 22 budget and your support, especially in your support for our great employees who mean a lot to us every day and give us a lot every day for our citizens. Happy New Year. I hope to see you next year on the 4th to get things started for 22. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. So at this time, we'll open the floor for board commentary. Yes.
You said that, what prison are being held at Miller County? Is it felonies, misdemeanors, or both?
Which ones are being held?
Yeah. Do we have any prison at by state?
Christie, would
No.
you like to address that?
Don't.
No.
2 years ago, we entered an agreement with the Miller County Sheriff's Office to hold our misdemeanor and felony prisoners for adults, and it saves the city quite a bit of money. Tyrone can attest to probably that number a little closer than I can. It's worked out very well. We've had a few little issues just kind of adapting to that. It's not as convenient, but of course it does save money, and I think it builds relationships with Miller County. The sheriff and I have a really good relationship, and we've worked really hard to kind of bring that relationship with the Miller County deputies and the police officers. It's even worked so well that right now, with downtown, they've helped us because we're down so many officers. They've stepped up and they're working downtown foot patrols with us on the nights that we're really short and we're not able to do that, to make sure that our entertainment district is covered as well as it needs to be. Any other questions?
Our current jail count over there for our city arrest, or how many right now?
From Miller County?
Yes.
Misdemeanor, we average at 14 prisoners per day. Those are misdemeanors. Now, felony prisoners, they become ward of the county as soon as the information is filed. So they're really not our responsibility once that happens.
So once the PC is Once they're magistrated, they're not ours.
No, so traditionally at the bi-state, as soon as we arrested a felony prisoner, we had 72 hours to make sure that they were transferred over to Miller County.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Board commentary.
I would just like to say that in reflecting back on the year that I've been on this board, I'm so thankful that we've got Jay as our city manager. He's doing an outstanding job, keeping us up to date and helping us get in good financial position. I'd like to thank Tyronda and all of her staff and all the city staff on the great job that they do. The Public Works Department is very, very overwhelmed, but they're always accommodating to help each one of us, and it's very easy for us to criticize, but it's very seldom that we tell them thank you. So on behalf of me and my ward, I want to thank all of you for the outstanding job that you do, and for us getting Jay as our city manager. And then having the first female police chief in the history of Texarkana,
Yes.
Chief Bennett has done nothing but an outstanding job. With less police officers, she is just doing a great job, and I couldn't be more proud of the job that our police officers are doing. And then I just want to say Gary Smith, the interim over at TWU, of being out at 11 o'clock last night in my neighborhood on an issue of making sure that our citizens are taken care of. What an outstanding job and witness that is to all of his employees. And so I just want to tell all of you, I'm thankful for each one of you, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and I look forward to a very great 2022.
And I concur with Director Hart. Leadership just above reproach. It's very, very well taken to be out there and leading by front. All of our leaders in the community. Again, I agree with Director Hart. Thank you.
I would like to say something in abbreviated form. I totally agree with Director Hart. Here, I think y'all have done a fantastic job.
Outstanding.
My first year doing a budget with the city, it's been an experience, and it's a learning experience. And like the mayor said, I think this is an extremely good budget. It's a proactive budget, and I think there is only good things to come for the city. And I hope all of y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Outstanding.
Any other commentary? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes?
Brown.
Yes, we're adjourned. Tyron.
January the 4th.
Tyron.